Hello and welcome in, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Father-Son Football Fanatics Podcast. I have to say it slow because it's still a tongue twister to me, so sorry about that, but we'll get there.
Last week we took like 5 times doing it.
We did. It was quite funny, but I got it right the first time this time, or maybe not. You'll never know because it's the only one you'll see. But today we're going to be talking about some news. There is so much news in the free agency.
And we couldn't get to you soon enough. All this news is pretty much news that's out of the talks, but also kind of in the talks, but also kind of not in the talks. But it's okay because, you're getting...
Some of it's big news. Some of it's huge. And we're going to talk about it today. And if we broke news every time news broke... That's a tongue twister too. We'd be on here every 10 minutes, it seems like, because somebody's getting signed somewhere all the time. But we're going to jump right into it. It's basically going to be some breaking news today and how that relates with some fantasy relevance to those teams. So stay tuned. We're going to get right into some news.
So let's talk about some news. So we're gonna go from every 32 NFL teams by their letter in the alphabet.
Alphabetical order.
Yes, alphabetical order. But so the first ones, the Arizona Cardinals. We're only gonna talk about like one player or two players that we think are actually relevant on this list that could actually make a appearance on the team. But you got James Conner signing back with the Arizona Cardinals, 3 years, $21 million. So, about $7 million a year. Pretty good. So,
yeah, James Conner makes a big difference on that offense. At least he did last year.
And with Chase Edmonds gone, right?
Yeah, Chase Edmonds is gone now, so he is the man in the backfield. So he should get a lot of action back there for fantasy. The one I wanted to point out has really no fantasy relevance, but Nick Vigil, just had to point out, my guy, he was on the Bengals for a few years, pretty good middle linebacker.
He might be on this ball.
He might be. His signature might be on that ball. But he was on the Vikings at the end of last year, now got picked up by the Cardinals.
So the Falcons, probably the biggest pickup in NFL history, Marcus Mariota. No, I'm kidding. No, but still, he's not good at all. I don't think he deserves it because he's not start relevant, in my opinion. I mean, you get rid of Matt Ryan, Matty Ice. You get rid of him for a third-round pick, right? Not even 2.
Yeah.
1 third-round pick. And then... Yeah, but I was actually kidding about that. But my guy that I think is going to be relevant on their team, Cordell Patterson, they signed back for 2 years, $10.5 million. So that's about,
and really,
5
and a quarter.
5 and a quarter.
But really, that's, so those two, Marcus Mariota and Cordell Patterson. So what I see the Falcons doing here, I think what they're doing is they're going to try to ride subpar talent into the next couple years and really try to load up on some draft picks because with the lineup they have, they're not going to be
Super Bowl contenders or even playoff contenders.
No, I mean, they're really not. Cordell Patterson, of course, it's good to keep him. He's not really going to go anywhere else and be a star, I don't think. But he seemed to fit into their scheme last year, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and the next Baltimore Ravens, really nobody on this. I mean, Marcus Williams, he's going to be a good pickup for them on their defense safety.
Yeah.
5 years, $70 million. So that's about $12 million a year.
But that's about it. The Ravens have made virtually no movement on free agency, which I'm okay with because we had no problem beating them last year. I would
now
say,
we have a team that's very scary in our division, and we're going to be talking about them in a second.
Yeah, I don't know how scary they really are. We'll talk about that. But let's just jump on to the Buffalo Bills.
No. They do not need these two quarterbacks. They don't need Matt Barkley or Case Keenum because they got Josh Allen, like the best quarterback in the league.
Well, they did get rid of their backup quarterback, Mitch Trubisky, to the Steelers. So Case Keenum comes in and he's going to be a good backup. I mean, he's a solid backup quarterback. So
they also got
that's
Jameson
okay.
Crowder, Duke Johnson, a few other guys.
Yeah. One that kind of throws me.
Yeah. I just skimmed past him. Can I say him really quick?
Sure.
You got Von Miller, 6-year, $120 million. That's about $20 million a year.
So that means Von Miller's going to be about 53 when he retires. No, I'm just kidding. That's a long contract for a guy his age.
He's like 38.
He's not that
34.
old, but he's somewhere around there, and that's a long contract. I don't know that he'll play that out, but one that's interesting to me is Jamison Crowder. You mentioned him, 1 year, $4 million contract. What have you got to lose? He's proven in the past that he can be good.
They got some solid wideouts though.
But you put him on there with Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, Dawson Knox, my guy. I like him for tight end. But you throw Jamison Crowder in there. They did get rid of Cole Beasley. So Jamison Crowder kind of fills that spot. But does he take away from Gabriel Davis? Gabriel Davis shined in the playoffs last year. But does Jamison Crowder have enough gas left in the tank to steal some of that thunder from Gabe Davis? So that's something that's yet to be seen.
But no. I already know.
Maybe not.
Next, the Carolina Panthers. Nothing big, except it doesn't say it on here, but Christian McCaffrey did get re-signed.
He did.
Basically.
Yep. They've made a lot of movement. They've picked up
Deontay Freeman.
Rashard Higgins from the Browns.
But they need some of these guys because
they need more than this, though.
Yeah, McCaffrey is he's glass.
They need a quarterback. They need another good receiver. You know, DJ Moore, I know they gave him a good contract.
Why
so
did they sign back
in.
Stephon Gilmore? He's the best or one of the best in the league.
So there's a lot to be desired with what the Panthers are doing. They have made a bunch of moves, it looks like, on the offensive line, some third-string wide receivers, some linebackers. So they're making moves, but they're just not making moves where they need to make them, which is on their offense. So I expect more of that to come in the future.
Next.
Chicago Bears.
Now, I think whoever's going to make the biggest impact on this, now I don't know a lot of these names, but Byron Pringle used to be a Chief. Don't know why he left, but you're going to one of the worst teams in the NFL. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, they need receivers. They have Darnell Mooney. They don't have Allen Robinson anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So Byron Pringle's going to step in and I guess take the Allen Robinson role, maybe? I don't think he's
Darnell
that caliber.
Mooney's better.
I don't think he's that caliber.
But they also got... Where were you? He's got a
you need
weird
to wake up
first
here.
name.
Wake up.
He's got a weird first name, St. Brown, from the Packers.
Yeah. Good luck saying that one.
Equinominous?
That one's going to be a tough one. So let's just move on to our beloved hometown, Cincinnati Bengals.
They have some good moves on the line. They got a center, Ted Karras. They got the Buccaneers offensive guard, Alex Kappa. And then they got
La'el Collins.
And then they got Hayden Hurst.
And they like the name Michael Thomas, so they got a receiver, Michael Thomas. They got a defensive back, Michael Thomas.
And they got Eli Apple.
They need to just get the actual Michael Thomas, the only one that really anybody cares about, except for Michael Thomas's mom, or Michael Thomas's mom, or Michael Thomas's mom. But anyway,
They also franchise tagged Jesse Bates III.
That was a dad joke. I'm sorry. I'll stop it with those. Yes, Jesse Bates. So that's a big one there. Moving on to the Cleveland Browns. Now, if you haven't heard any news at all this
if you're
week,
living under a rock,
you'd have to be living under a rock. And this is one that I want to kind of stop on and talk about for a couple minutes because this is huge. There's a lot of things, a lot of variables that could happen here. But the Cleveland Browns acquire Deshaun Watson.
Via trade.
Deshaun Watson. They pay him, I want to say it was a 5-year, $230 million contract. All of it guaranteed. My sources tell me it's all guaranteed, which means he gets $230 million
Even if he gets to play for another team.
as long as he lives for 5 years. Doesn't matter what he's doing. I'm sure there's clauses in there that could, take that away, but it is all guaranteed. The thing that's interesting to me about this, they also go out right away and get Jacoby Brissett, quarterback, and they're smart enough to know that Deshaun Watson's going to have some sort of suspension. They haven't come out and said it. The timeline is not there yet, but Deshaun Watson's going to be suspended probably 6 weeks, if not 8. So they've got Jacoby Brissett to fill his shoes while he's on suspension.
Just keep Baker.
Well,
Actually,
after how they treated Baker, how that all went down, that's not going to happen. Baker's gone.
But also, I'm happy that he's gone. Don't like him at all.
I didn't mind him because
he was bad.
Because the Bengals had a good chance of beating him.
Deshaun Watson's not as good. No, he's better than. But I don't think he's Joe Shiesty level because he's
we do have some proof on the wall here that Deshaun Watson can get thrown around like a rag doll. Okay, the Bengals can do that to him. But the other thing that is interesting, so they get rid of Jarvis Landry, and they get Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's better than Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, but then they get Jakeem Grant.
But not by a ton. Amari Cooper, he's getting older. Last year he wasn't, top tier level wide receiver. I just don't with him kind of going downhill and Deshaun Watson having been off for a year of playing and probably the first 6 or 8 weeks of next year. I just don't see that chemistry starting up at least this year. Maybe the year after.
Maybe we don't talk about all 32 teams. There's a lot of teams in the NFL. I'm scrolling down, and
there are. Let's move on to the next one. The Dallas Cowboys. So one thing that they have acquired from the Steelers, James
Washington, Noah Brown, Michael Gallup, Leighton Vander Esch, Jeremy Sprinkle, Dalton Schultz, Luke.
We don't have to go through
Malik
all of
Hooker.
them, okay?
I like him.
We don't have to go through all of them, but James Washington showed some flashes in Pittsburgh where he could be good. Michael Gallup,
Jeremy Sprinkle.
Obviously they're going to be second to CeeDee Lamb, but some solid wide receiver pickups there.
Noah Brown, Buckeye. Malik Hooker, Buckeye.
Moving on to the Denver Broncos, another big trade. We've already talked about it, but I'll let you deliver that one.
Wilson Russell. Russell
Wilson. Spit it out.
Oh, the better quarterback, Josh Johnson. He's better than.
Hey, Josh Johnson isn't too bad.
He's actually good.
He reminds me of Ryan Fitzpatrick because he has been on like a bunch of different teams, including
he was also in the XFL,
including the Bengals. Right? He was in the XFL on the LA Wildcats.
And they got this is a big one. This is a big one. Randy Gregory from the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Cowboys are going to be a team this year. I don't think they're going to be like they did last year.
They're surprising me with some of their moves because it's like they're wanting to go downhill a little bit for some reason.
Yeah.
But that's the big ones on the Broncos.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the Detroit Lions. Really,
they have the most on this list.
They've got a ton. But they're all names that you don't really know.
They're getting so many quarterbacks.
They got a couple quarterbacks, neither of which have been relevant in the NFL before.
Tim Boyle and David Blau.
Blau? I don't know. Don't know who he is. But a couple that are notable. They did acquire DJ Chark from the Jaguars. One year, $10 million deal. That's a prove it to us, prove it you can do it kind of thing for him, which he's got the talent. I think he'll be all right there. And then Josh Reynolds, they got in the wide receiver position as well. He's decent. He can at least step in and help out a little bit there. Now on to
the Green Bay Packers. They got Robert Tonyan, 1 year deal.
Re-signed him.
They got Devondre Campbell, 5 years, $50 million. And then they got Russell Douglas.
And of course they kept Aaron Rodgers, and that was and trading Devontae Adams that was their biggest news so far, and we'll cover that when we get there. But we'll move on to
the Houston
Texans.
They got a big upgraded quarterback. No, I'm kidding. Kyle Allen, not the best quarterback, but not the worst.
They did get Royce Freeman, which showed some
upon
flashes.
Their other 30 running backs that they have.
Well, they're doing the same thing they did last year, and they're just throwing a bunch of wide receivers at the bench and just seeing who does the best, basically. Rex Burkhead's still there. He's probably going to be the starter. Unless Royce Freeman can beat him out of that role. But Royce Freeman actually showed some flashes last year of still having what it takes to be a running back. So other than that, a lot of defensive moves that they're making, so we won't jump into those. But the next
on
one,
the list,
this is a pretty big one.
The Indianapolis Colts. With their one of the biggest news flashes of the season.
Or at least of the week.
Yes. Matt Ryan. Now, he is 34 years old. I researched it. He could go up to his 40.
Hey, Matt Ryan is a good quarterback. He's gone to the Super Bowl. He lost to Tom Brady.
He was up 28-3. I don't know how you managed to lose.
It's a team effort for sure, but it's also a Tom Brady effort. And for some reason, somehow, the man can pull out a Super Bowl out of nowhere. But Matt Ryan is I think that's a great addition to that team. You know, they had Carson Wentz. They had, end of his career, Phillip Rivers. So they really haven't had a great quarterback. Matt Ryan can step in and be a great quarterback. Yeah. And especially with Michael Pittman and Jonathan Taylor, I mean, that could be a seriously good team.
Yeah. And so could this team that I'm going to have to talk about.
It makes me a little bit excited to see also what Zach Pascal will do. I'm
skipping down the line a lot.
No, we got to go in order. You said it. Alphabetical order.
I don't want to. These are so boring.
It's not fair.
What?
Haven't you seen that
Cut
commercial?
that out. Cut that out.
Haven't you seen that commercial? The AT&T commercial, the little girl with the lollipop. That's not fair.
Oh.
Okay, moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
We're cutting that all out.
No, we're not. You'll see when you watch it. It's all there. Christian Kirk, one of their biggest pickups in the offseason.
Wait. Did the Bengals not resign like Trey Hendrickson and people? Because they only put them to like a one year.
I think I don't know what the details are, but I'm pretty sure they did.
Because they didn't have all those guys here. They only had like a few.
Christian Kirk. That's really one. That's really about the only big one for the Jaguars.
What about Evan Ingram and Brandon Sheriff?
Evan Ingram hasn't been relevant for 3 years.
Brandon Sheriff is one of the best linemen in the game of Madden. He's like a 90 overall. He's a good lineman.
Well, if you're going off of Madden, then there you go. Here we go. Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs. They've got a huge pickup at the quarterback position. Chad Henne. Yeah, I've never heard of him either. Okay.
No, I have.
I've heard of him.
He beat the Browns in the playoffs when he beat the Browns in the the divisional round or the AFC Championship. I don't know, but no, it was the AFC Championship. I don't remember, but Patrick Mahomes didn't play the entire game because he got injured his knee. And he beat the Browns, which is sad because he's not good. That proves that that Baker Mayfield is the worst quarterback in the league.
He's good enough for a $2 million a year contract. Woo!
But it's only 1 year, so.
Right.
But also, you got nobody else. No, I'm kidding. You got Juju Smith-Schuster. Pittsburgh's just giving away all their wide receivers. You're giving away James Washington. You're giving away Juju Smith-Schuster. You're just trusting on Chase Claypool.
And Deontay Johnson.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about him. And their awesome tight end, Freiermuth. Pat Freiermuth. Write that name down for your fantasy drafts. He's going to be a good one this year. Juju Smith-Schuster. I think that adds what that team needed. Honestly, they didn't have that strong number 2 receiver. They did. Cole Hardman, he's good.
He's not as good as Smith-Schuster, and I think that's going to help take them to the next level.
Raiders. Blah 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 blah.
Whoa! Hold on.
Oh, I blawed somebody too far.
You blawed over Devontae Adams.
Well, I skipped him. I said blah blah blah.
You blawed over him. Blah. Devontae Adams, probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, trade news of the last week. He goes from the Packers to the Raiders. The Packers pay up to keep Aaron Rodgers. The Packers offered Devontae Adams more money than the Raiders offered him, and he still left. It's crazy.
Why, Devontae? I actually like you for that, though. Packers aren't going to be as good. They're actually not going to be good.
Packers are not going to be. They're not going to be that good. He was 50% of the Packers' offense.
And the other 50.
I'll take that back. 33% of the Packers' offense.
And the other Aaron
Rodgers
Jones
was the other 33%, and then Aaron Jones was the other 30%. So. And
then Marcus Valdes-Scantling was 1%.
They literally took out a third of their offense when he left.
Basically.
So that's going to be some big shoes to fill.
I said blah, blah, blah. I wasn't even thinking.
I know.
Blah, 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 blah.
But then the next guy on the list I want to bring up too, and we'll move on after this, but Brandon Bolden coming over from the Patriots.
He's old.
What do you mean he's old? He had a good... when he played for the Patriots last year, he had some good games. He showed he could do it. So... He'll be...
this is also another good one.
He'll obviously be backing up Josh Jacobs. But
Chandler Jones.
Yeah.
Chandler Jones.
Moving on to the Los Angeles Chargers.
Making some big deals.
Really, the one I want to talk about the most is...
J.C. Jackson. He is so good.
Well, that's the one you can talk about. I was going to talk about Mike Williams getting re-signed for a 3-year deal. They needed him to come back, so that's a huge deal there. And obviously they're stacking up their defense with Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson. They've also got Bosa on the line there, so they're coming for it this year. They are gunning for the Super Bowl. Los Angeles Rams, Allen Robinson. They're trading.
No, Odell.
No. I just blanked out. I just had a brain. Robert Woods. They're trading Robert Woods. They're trying to keep Odell, so we'll see how that kind of plays out. But Allen Robinson comes in. And
now, this is the one I wanted to talk about.
Now, what happens to Van Jefferson? I mean, they're just hogging all the wide receivers on their team. They need to let some of them go on. But
now, this is a very good, I think is going to be a very good team this year. They got some good pickups in free agency. Big names, at least. I mean, they're not even that good, but they're big names. You got Teddy Bridgewater. They needed that.
Tua will start.
He will start.
Teddy's going to be a good backup. Tua will start. The Miami Dolphins, if you haven't figured out who we're talking about.
You got Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert, Cedric Wilson, very good wide receiver, Preston Williams, another pretty good wide receiver.
Mike Gesicki,
pretty good. Connor Williams.
They are loading up. I mean, granted they're not getting top tier talent at all these positions, but they're getting solid performers. So you add Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert in there to your Myles Gaskin, who you already have.
I'm already on the other team.
Cedric Wilson's going to come in and I mean that's going to be great for Jalen Waddle. He's not going to steal any receptions from Jalen Waddle. So Jalen Waddle's still going to get all his targets, but then you've got Cedric Wilson who's able to step in and pick up the slack.
Now on Minnesota Vikings, the next team, you got Jordan Hicks and Zadarius Smith.
Yeah.
Both really good players.
And they are re-signing Kirk Cousins, so that's a big deal. But moving on to the New England Patriots, not a ton of big splashes here. Re-signing James White, re-signing Brian Hoyer as a backup quarterback.
Trent Brown. Very good offensive tackle.
But the rest of those are just,
And Nick Folk.
Your typical re-sign.
Nick Folk is good.
He's a good kicker.
He's a good kicker.
He is. All right, the New Orleans Saints.
Jameis Winston.
That one surprises me a little bit. I would figure that they would have gone after, and they did go after him a little bit, but I thought they would have gone harder after Deshaun Watson. But they re-signed Jameis Winston. Not a whole lot of news there. So we'll move on to the New York Giants.
Tyrod Taylor, Matt Breida, Ricky Seals-Jones, Corey Cunningham, Mark Glowinski.
All right.
James Dunn.
So Tyrod Taylor, probably going to be a backup unless he can beat out Daniel Jones for the starting position. Matt Breida, not going to make any difference at all. Saquon is still the guy.
Why did they sign him if they already have another one?
The New York Jets.
No, they signed C.J. Uzama.
Yeah.
But they also signed Tyler Conklin.
Oh.
Why would you sign both of them?
Well, they want to go with a 2 tight end set, apparently.
And they got the best quarterback in the league, Mike White.
Self-proclaimed best quarterback in the league. That's why he got $1 million less than Joe Flacco, who is basically on a walker or a cane going out to the field. He's slowing way down.
Can we skip over this next team? Doesn't matter.
We're gonna
Fletcher Cox. That's
we're gonna just bust through the Philadelphia Eagles real quick. Boston Scott gets re-signed. Okay, so I talked about Zach Pascal earlier. I didn't know this. Zach Pascal is now on the Eagles. Never mind.
Oh,
Fletcher Cox, yes. So moving on to
Pittsburgh
the terrible, awful enemies, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They got Dwayne Haskins. But they did get Miles Jack. Cha-ching!
They did.
But they also got Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, so the quarterback position is going to be rough for them. And it looks like they're loading up on some defensive players, a little bit of offensive line. Not anything real impressive. Moving on to the San Francisco 49ers.
Charvarius Ward. That's it.
They re-signed JaMychal Hasty. Not really going to matter. And, that's about it for them. Seattle Seahawks.
Drew Lock. That's about it for them.
That's a...
No, Shelby Harris.
That's bad news.
Noah Fant. Kyle Fuller. Austin.
Yeah, so they've picked up some what I would say
Now this next team,
not very relevant
very,
players.
very, some good pickups. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Leonard Fournette re-signing, Chris Godwin re-signing, Russell Gage signing, Shaq Mason signing, Ryan Jensen signing, Carlton Davis starting,
So yeah,
and Logan Ryan also.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely some good re-signs there. Chris Godwin, they had to hang on to him and Leonard
And
Fournette.
obviously they got Tom Brady.
So, and he unretired. Yes, he is back. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a good chance of going a long way this year.
We have two more teams.
Tennessee Titans acquire Robert Woods from the Rams. That's a good pickup.
You hear my Donald Duck?
Robert Woods takes the place of Julio Jones, who was Julio Jones, because he was no on the field. But that's a great pickup. That's going to take them.
And for the last team,
the Washington Comrades. The Commanders. They get Carson Wentz, J.D. McKissick,
Andrew Norwell,
and nobody really else that's relevant. So that's pretty much it as far as the free agency. And
this is a longer video than we thought it was going to be.
Well, that's okay. We're planning on doing another one later this week, so we get the tight end conversations in for you guys. We're going to talk about tight end free agency. We're going to talk about tight end fantasy relevance. That's one
draft prospects.
That's one you're going to want to watch. Tight ends have the ability to really mess up your fantasy team or really help your fantasy team. So tune in to us talking about that. We will give you some good insights on
And
that.
they're also very inconsistent. So just know that.
Yeah, that's why there's a handful that if you can get your hands on them, they're the ones you want to have. So we're going to talk about that later this week. So tune in to our next video. Make sure you like, subscribe.
And turn on post notifications so you don't miss a podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in to the Father-Son Football Fanatics podcast.